Black, that's it. Just because I'm black, I fit the description.
The entire encounter was caught on camera. The high school student believes he was arrested because he's black, but Plano's chief of police believes his officers' actions were not racially motivated.
Hey, man. Whoop. You trying to get home? Are you trying to get home?
18-year-old Rodney Reese was stopped by Plano police officers while walking home from work at Walmart during the Texas freeze last Tuesday night. Police say someone called, concerned that a black male wearing a short-sleeved shirt was stumbling along the icy conditions. It was a welfare check. Reese lives with his mom just a few blocks away, right down the street from where he works. He repeatedly told officers he was fine.
Sir, look, we just want to talk to you. All right?
I'm on the way home. I'm straight.
Okay. Okay, but you're walking in the middle of the road.
I understand that. Okay. I do this every night, literally. I'm straight.
Okay. You ain't cold or nothing?
No.
With that chief shirt on?
Officers continued to follow him, however, for 2 minutes and 17 seconds.
We're doing an investigation.
I don't care. I'm going home.
You were officially detained.
No.
Yes, you are.
Bro.
Before handcuffs were placed around his wrists.
Just relax.
Just relax, all right?
Just relax.
We're just trying to talk to you.
I got an anger problem. Please get off. Y'all not, no.
Stop.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to touch you.
Yeah, you didn't stop. Put your hands behind your back now. You are not free to go.
Wow.
The next thing you do is going to be get a charge right now. Because you're pushing on an officer.
I'm not pushing. How am I pushing on?
Reese was arrested for walking in the street. The official charge, pedestrian in the roadway. The high school student spent the night in jail.
They just treated me like I was a criminal or something.
The teen says he was walking along the street because the area off to the side of it, seen in this photo taken the next day, was covered in ice and snow. He says he kept walking away because he didn't need help.
Just a simple encounter. A simple encounter. That's why I tried to dodge you. So I could make it home. I don't know.
Friends and loved ones say he's just a good kid with a clean record who was scared.
I know the kid's character. I know the kid's demeanor.
Plano Police Chief Ed Drain backs his officers for checking on Reese.
There's a lot of information that we know about this case that we didn't know at the time. Those officers did not know his age. They didn't know he was 18. They didn't know he worked at Walmart. They didn't know where he lived.
First of all, you were in the roadway, which is a safety hazard, and you're not supposed to be in the roadway.
Still, he says the arrest wasn't consistent with the reason officers went out there, a welfare check. He says the 18-year-old was difficult to cooperate with, but that he has a right to not cooperate. He's dropping the charge.
They should have taken him home, is where he should have gone.
The police department will determine if an internal investigation is warranted. Chief Drain doesn't believe race was a factor in the arrest.
But I can't get inside people's hearts. I can't get inside people's heads.
As for Reese,
just because I'm black, that's it. Just because I'm black, I fit the description. I don't even think the call would happen, honestly.
We're just trying to figure out where you're going.
Home, I just said that.
he believes it's the only reason.
Relax this arm.
Relax your arms, okay? Relax your arms.
The police chief says Reese resisted arrest, but the department did not file that charge. If you'd like to see how this played out frame by frame, we have posted a link to the entire video over on our website. That's fox4news.com.
We are living through a truly crazy time. And
yeah, we are.
Black, that's it. Just because I'm black.
Well, it's a BlackWatch. And I've listened to the 7-8 minute version of that, and it plays out even worse. It's more descriptive. They cut off all the altercation. And I actually started making this video yesterday, and it didn't take. So I'm glad it didn't take, because now I have more information. Now I know that the chief of police is a black man. He's a black male. I don't know if he's a man. I don't think a black man would let that happen to another black man. A black male might. Now, whether he's a descendant of chattel slavery or he's just a black immigrant, I don't know. That you know, we're not up for a reparations discussion on this. But he is a black man. His name is Ed Drain. And Ed Drain is part of the problem. And I talked about we can't change a lot of these things until we change the system. Yeah, we can knock a few people out of some jobs, but we really can't change until we change the system. And we have to change the system of hiring people like Ed Drain. Ed Drain is a traitor to his own people. I don't know Ed Drain personally, but if you listen to Ed Drain in that video, and you listen to him in the long version of the video, you'll know Ed Drain ain't for us. He might have been produced by us, but he's not for us. That youngin', high school senior, 18-year-old, there was probably a couple things that he might have been able to do that could have de-escalated that situation or had it never escalate. But I'm in no way here to defend them race soldiers, because that was some bullshit. If you've listened to it, seen it, whatever, that was some bullshit. A man walking home in his own neighborhood. In his own neighborhood. He's supposed to be as comfortable as he can be in his own house. He should be pretty damn comfortable in his own neighborhood. And he's accosted by two police officers in his neighborhood. They're in his neighborhood. They're in a private neighborhood. And when he tells him he's just walking home, when he tells him why he's walking on the street, because he did tell him, he said ice. See, you might have not been able to hear it, or just because the way his dialect comes out, it sounded like he might have said ice, because they said you're walking in the wall. He said ice. I heard him say ice. You got to listen to it. Maybe they heard him say ice. I don't know. I don't know what they really heard. I don't think they really heard anything other than let's see what's going on here. Because in the video, it says that there was a call. There was a welfare check call. I think his family needs to request all of that 911 call. All of it. Somebody walking in the roadway, in the neighborhood. Because see, my problem is, was he in the neighborhood when the call was made? Or did they come up in the neighborhood and just happen to see him? Something ain't right. He was walking from Walmart. He don't live in Walmart. He lives in that neighborhood. But he was walking from Walmart. So where did that call come from? How do we even know that that's the person that it was being called about? Maybe when he left for work, it wasn't like that. And that's why he didn't have a jacket on. He didn't have a coat on. That's really none of their goddamn business. He might be a hot-blooded individual, and he just said, you know what? I don't need no coat. None of their business. He didn't look like he stole nothing. He had a bag in his hand. He wasn't running with nothing up under his arm. He had a bag in his hand. He said he came from work. A lot of people leave work, and they leave work is from a store or a restaurant or something. They have a bag in their hand. So I'm not giving them motherfuckers not 1 inch on this shit, okay? And the only reason I'm really doing this, because I know a lot of teenagers. I know a lot of teenage boys. And I know that they're going to end up in situations like this. Me and my partners, we had situations like this. We knew how to deal with police. We knew how to talk to police. But everybody is not equipped with what we had. So I get that young brother. I understand. And the way Texas done treated black people for the last 400 years, I understand. Knowing a little bit I know about Plano, and it may have its rougher side, I don't know, but I've always heard that Plano was one of the nicer parts of metropolitan Dallas, Texas. So I'm thinking they weren't in the hood, okay? They knew they weren't in the hood, okay? So him walking home, I mean, he looked, pretty upright. Didn't look all fucked up out there. He was walking with a bag. He had been to a store. He had patronized somebody's store. He was a patron. They said they didn't know how old he was. Didn't matter. See, now they're trying to use that big black guy theory. It don't matter how old he was. He could have been fucking 12. It doesn't matter. Do you realize how big Shaquille O'Neal was when he was 18? Do you realize how big Patrick Ewing was when he was 18? 15? 12? It doesn't matter how old he is or how old you think he is. The fact that they accosted that man, because he is a man, he's 18. The fact that they accosted that man abused him, you know, and here she come, she talking about ain't this. She said ain't one time in the video, then she said aren't another time in the video. See, that ain't shit comes out when they want to try to talk street, when they want to try to talk cool, when they think they can get inside your head that way. And then when he was bucking her ass, you aren't complying. How come you didn't say you ain't complying, bitch? You was hood a minute ago, now you're back in the suburbs, Karen. What the fuck is wrong here? You know, they supposedly get called because somebody's walking in the street. Say they walking wobbly. He's walking on top of snow and ice. Anybody's walking wobbly. And I'm not sure if this happens a lot because I don't get accosted by police a lot. But what's that? What's that shit? Is that like a human signal for a siren for you to stop? Do they do that in the South? I don't know. I heard that shit. They did it a couple times. Is that like a whistle for you to stop? And as a man, I don't even look around. When I hear people whistling and shit, you whistle at dogs. You don't whistle at me, motherfucker. So I don't even turn around when a motherfucker whistles. Because I know I'm not to be signaled like that. If you need to call me, hello, sir, hey, sir, excuse me, sir, but you're not going to whoop and make me motherfucking turn around? Are you fucking kidding me? I heard that shit. And she out there, you ain't cold? Don't worry about what the fuck he is. He ain't bothering nobody. You ain't a race soldier. You ain't a bigot. You know, I mean, it's just crazy what they're doing to these young brothers out here. So I get when these young brothers buck. I don't like to see some of the outcomes, but I get why they buck. You know, everybody, oh, if they complied, then that shit wouldn't have happened to them. Yes, it would have. It was bound to happen to them. But what they try to do is prevent it from happening, you know. See, I'm not going to go with them stupid statistics, you know, or if they comply. Sandra Bland complied. Sandra Bland complied. That was in Texas. Okay. So we don't want to talk about who complies and who doesn't comply and who goes home and who doesn't go home. We've seen plenty of people that didn't look like me not comply and they went home. Okay? So I'm past that compliance shit. It don't matter whether we comply, whether we die. Okay? And he knew that. As a young black man, he knew that. He knew it was time to get out of Dodge because he's being accosted by race soldiers. He's been at least told something about that from his home life. I could tell. And he didn't want no altercation. He didn't want to have to deal with no bullshit. He was just trying to get home from work. Now, when he said he had anger issues, you know, I think that kicked their antennas up a little bit. When he said he had anger issues. You know, then they decided to start tossing him around and shit. And it took two of them to get him down. And, you know, they got fucked up for him. But understanding, they charged him with pedestrian in the roadway on a private street. People walk in the street in their neighborhoods all the time. I don't see cops rolling through giving people tickets for walking in the roadway all the time. I walk in the roadway in my neighborhood all the time. All the time. All the time. I ain't never been stopped. I ain't never had no cop roll up on me and say, excuse me, sir, can I have your ID? I need to give you a ticket for walking in the roadway. I see people walking their dogs and shit all the time in the roadway. I see people with kids on bicycles and they walking in the road, kids on the sidewalk, they walk in the road. They may have a dog, this, that, and the other, and they don't want to take up the whole sidewalk, so they let the kid ride the sidewalk, they walk in the street. I ain't never seen nobody roll up on them and give them a motherfucking ticket. Hear me? Ain't never seen it happen. But in Plano, Texas, you can be in your neighborhood walking on an icy road, and if the sidewalk is too icy for you to walk on, you can get a ticket for walking in the roadway. Now, they said they weren't going to charge him with resisting arrest, which is much more higher level of a charge than walking in the roadway. Why? He resisted. Why ain't you going to give him that ticket? Because, see, walking in the roadway was some bullshit, and the only reason he resisted was because you had some bullshit. So you can't charge him with resisting arrest when you really shouldn't have charged him with the first thing. You can't get to 2 unless you count to 1. I mean, you playing basketball, you go by 2s. You know what I'm saying? You can do that. But that's the only way you get to the second charge is if you have the first charge. You can't dismiss the first charge and give him the second charge. If the second charge wouldn't have happened if you hadn't have fucked around with him on the first charge. See, this is what we're dealing with as black Americans in this country. This is what we've dealt with for the last 400 years in this country. Well, this country ain't been around for 400 years, but you know what the fuck I'm talking about, on this soil. So, when we deal with shit like this, other people will be like, oh man, that's unfortunate. No, that's America. It's not unfortunate, it's America. Shit. It was unfortunate when it first happened, but when it started to continue to happen, we just learned it to be America. See, a lot of y'all don't like to count shit before, 1776, because this wasn't America then. Okay? Let's just go from 1776 to now. Okay? Been fucked up still. The Declaration of Independence when black people weren't independent. Hell, it's 2021 and we still ain't independent in this bitch. They freed us with no clothes, no money, no property, no nothing. Just set us loose. Just set us loose. Just opened up the motherfucking pigeon coop for black America and set us loose with no resources. Pigeons at least get to come back and get fed. We didn't get that. We didn't even get the opportunity to feed ourselves, 40 acres and a mule. And then when we had to return back to their situation, they cheated us then, sharecropping. Then they start snatching black men, peonage, convict leasing. Then they passed a few motherfucking laws. So we're gonna do some shit called Reconstruction. Yeah. Deconstruction or Reconstruction? I can't remember. My kids used to say, remember daddy? Like, I don't remember shit. Well, I don't remember that because I wasn't here. But I'm feeling the effects of it right now. Right now. See, as long as this continues to go on and nobody says anything about it, it'll just continue to go on. But this is why you can't just get rid of a police officer. You can't even get rid of a police chief. You got to dismantle police unions. They want to defund the police? No. Don't take no money away from them motherfuckers. Because if you take money away from them, you might take some body cam away from them. You might take some tasers away from them. Then you just leave them with guns and they're just going to be shooting us. See, at least right now, we got 1 out of 3 things. We can get a nightstick, we can get a taser, and then a bullet. Sometimes they go right for the bullet. But sometimes we're fortunate enough to be tased or beat with a nightstick. You ever thought you'd be fortunate to get beat with a billy club? It'd be a good thing in your life to get beat with a billy club? Out of the 3, I guess I'd take the billy club over the taser, over the bullet. And that's pretty much what happens. You get a choice. You get a choice. You don't really get a choice, but you got a choice of 3. They got a choice of 3. Most of them go for the bullet. They say fuck the taser. Or now, all of a sudden these tasers, you ever notice how now all these tasers don't have no effect on no black people? No effect. We tried tasing him, but it didn't have any effect on us, so we had to kill him. Since when did government-issued tasers not have an effect on people? When did that happen? When did that start? Oh, when they started tasing black people. I want to see them use that taser on each other. One officer tased one officer, and the other officer tased the other. I want to see if it has any effect on them. Take that taser and use it on each other. And let's see if it has an effect. And if it has an effect on you, why would it have an effect on this woman, this man, this child? I've heard that. Didn't have any effect on, they said it didn't have any effect on that young girl when they tased that young girl. 9-year-old girl, didn't have any effect on her? God damn. Your battery's low? What's wrong, nigga? Let me know what the fuck's going on. Because it's the BlackWatch. I like to throw that in there every now and then in case you just figuring, who's this nigga just yelling into this camera in this concrete building and shit? It's me. It's the BlackWatch. And I'm always on my shit. It's early morning, too. It ain't even motherfucking 8 o'clock in the morning yet. I'm just doing my thing. Just doing my thing. Trying to get through life without getting beat, without getting tased, without getting murdered by race soldiers. So I'll make sure I stay out the street, you know, now that I know that's a crime to walk in the roadway in my neighborhood. See, I can see it if he's walking in the roadway on a public street, like where traffic comes, you know. I'm not sure if that's really a crime because I've seen people do that when it's the snowbanks are backed up and they can't walk on the sidewalks. So they do walk in the street and cars make provisions for them. Provisions, not provisions. Provisions. Told you it's early. I ain't even had my coffee yet. What is that, man? And so, yeah, where I'm at, I have a problem with Chief Drain. I think Chief Drain is a tool of white supremacy because he came right out and supported his officers and said they were in the right for what they did. They were in the right. You know, they're doing an inquiry now, but they were in the right. They only doing an inquiry because somebody done put some pressure on their ass. They done heard from somebody at law. So that's the only reason they're doing an inquiry. We'll see what comes out of the inquiry. I don't believe shit's gonna come out of it. I don't believe they can actually pay this kid's family off like that. They still may sue just to make a point. But sounds like Chief Drain needs to let a couple race soldiers go. Absolutely. He needs to let Brad and Becky go. Because the dumb shit that they pulled right there, there was probably more shit. People probably off in ditches. People's cars wasn't starting. There was all kinds of shit that they could have been helping out with. If law enforcement don't help with that shit, they could have called the necessary people. Why did they need to accost a young black man walking home? He had a little shopping bag. Looked like he went to the store. What if he wasn't walking home from work? He was just walking from the store. He was okay. But they got a welfare check. Thought they'd check on him. And then it ended up that. He ended up spending the night in jail. He spent the night in jail. What if something happens to him in that jail? You know, what if he gets in there and something happens to him? He said he had anger issues. Did they call in a social worker? They call in a mental health worker? He said he had anger issues. What if he got in there and hung himself? Huh? What if he got in there and hung himself? What would they have done then? Would they have done anything then? Could they have done anything then? No, they can't do anything. Your man's dead. You call the morgue. You call his family. Tell his family you picked him up because he was walking in the roadway. They said, well, he always walks in the roadway, you know, when he walks home. What happened? You know, I mean, that's your excuse? That's when you bring his hat to the motherfucking house, that your excuse was he walked in the roadway? So we had to accost him, we arrested him, we brought him to jail, and then he hung himself? That's the end of his story? Are you fucking serious? See, this type of shit will continue to happen unless we continue to bring it out. And I'm not the only one that put something together on this. I've heard other clips. Not quite like this. Because I don't believe none of this shit that happened in that fucking video other than the fact what I heard in that video. Fuck Drain. Fuck them 2 officers. Fuck this system. You want better relationships between people and police? Get rid of motherfucking shit like that. Walking in the roadway after you've had one of the biggest storms in the history of Texas. at least in my years, I never heard about snowing and fucking up down there like that. So they didn't know how to deal with it. The governor said, fuck y'all. Ted Cruz said, fuck y'all. So somebody that had a landscaping contract probably couldn't get no salt, couldn't get no plows, and they didn't get them sidewalks clean, so it forced that young brother to walk into the street. And eventually spend the night in jail for it, after he had worked his 8 hours. See, that's a problem. Black man can't go to work and walk home with his bag. Okay. Hopefully you subscribe to the channel before you watch this clip, or you've clicked it while you've watched this clip, or you'll click it after you watch this clip. If you don't, you have your reasons. And if you don't like what I've just said, please do the thumbs down. I have no problem with that. But leave a comment and tell me what you didn't like about it. Tell me you didn't like me talking about the race soldiers fucking with the black man. Tell me you didn't like me talking about Chief Drain. Tell me you didn't like me. I don't give a fuck. Just don't come here and not create a digital footprint. Let me know. Holla at a motherfucker. I need to know. Because it's the BlackWatch. And I'm a black man. So I watch shit. One love.